everybody, it's Monday, December 4th, 2023. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio. We got specialists in the building. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yay! We appreciate you guys hanging out with us and helping us put this show on every day. We appreciate all of you for interacting with us, however it may be, whether it's audio, video, social media, or sometimes in line at Trader Joe's. It is the end of week 13. We've got Monday night still to come. But, man, we got a busy show today. I know we like to chit-chat and have pleasantries, but let's just dive into it because we got biggest takeaways from the week. We got top performers and disappointments, and we got some waiver wire targets. But we will start, as we always do, with our fantasy headlines and another week and another big, unfortunate injury this time. It's rookie wide receiver Tank Dell for the Houston Texans. He suffered a fractured fibula in Houston's win over the Denver Broncos. Nico Collins went out and had a huge day without Dell there. Look, there's no chance you're going to find Collins on your waiver wire. If you do, can I get an invite to your league? So the question becomes, do we pivot to Robert Woods? Is there another Texans receiver, or do we just look outside of Houston altogether for help?
I think the best answer is probably outside of Houston, but to me, Noah Brown is the one that I'm most interested in. I know he gave you 0 fantasy points. So did Robert Woods this past week, but Brown had more routes. He played more snaps than Robert Woods. It was also John Mechie, 3 targets, but he was splitting as that third wide receiver there with Robert Woods. So he's a deeper name, as is Robert Woods. But if I'm picking up anyone here, it's Noah Brown.
Yeah, I think Noah Brown probably is the answer here. I just wanted, for old time's sakes, to bring Bobby Trees back into our lives. But probably Noah Brown is going to be the answer there. More than likely, you may have to mix and match for the rest of the season because you're not going to find anybody who was giving you Tank Dell's level of production. So an unfortunate injury at a key time but for both fantasy and for the Houston Texans, who are still very much in the mix for a playoff spot, especially with their win over the Broncos. So wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully he's back out there on the field next year. For the rest of us, it is time to adapt and try to move forward into the rest of the season.
Look, not to get far into it, but Tank is my size, and I say that all the time. Mm-hmm. Maybe don't make him a lead blocker on a goal line carry.
That's, like, don't have your small wide receiver in the scrum where a lot of big bodies are falling to the ground.
It would not go well for me. I'll
just
tell you that.
Just a thought. Derrick Carr has to leave the loss for the Saints in their loss to the Lions, I should say. Another week where Carr just got beat up physically, maybe even emotionally too. The Saints fan seems to have had enough of Derrick Carr. He's in concussion protocol, shoulder and back injuries after taking a wicked hit from Bruce Irvin. And we'll see whether or not he's able to return. Jameis Winston came in and finished the game for New Orleans. You look at their schedule in the fantasy playoffs, and it's not a terrible one. I know that nobody was really excited about playing Derrick Carr in fantasy. They've got the Giants, the Rams, and the Bucs in the fantasy playoffs. Would you consider at some point maybe streaming Jameis Winston?
The schedule is good, like you said, and I am a huge Jameis stan. I was clamoring for him to get on the field, but look, I never want to see injury, but I really wanted to see Jameis Winston play. That being said, I think Jameis is better for the Saints pass catchers than his own fantasy profile. Like, he's going to throw those deep YOLO balls to Chris Olave, to Rashid Shaheed when he's active, or A.T. Perry. I think that it just means more downfield targets, higher percentage of putting up big catches, touchdowns, stuff like that. They weren't moving the ball well with Derek Carr, but Jameis Winston's still not going to run a whole bunch. I would have to be, I think, diving deeper to get him into my lineup.
Yesterday, for me, kind of felt like a monkey's paw situation where I kept sort of tweeting like, hey, we should get this to happen. And then it did, but like at the expense of something else. Yesterday I was like, hey, Saints, let's just have some fun and let's put Jameis in. Like, I wasn't expecting it would be because Derek Carr got hurt. I just figured he was ineffective and they would bench him or something like that. So I'm sort of with you. I mean, part of me is like, that would be fun to like roll with Jameis, say in week 17 or something like that. It's also risky because Jameis will probably give you the full Jameis experience. But as you mentioned, I do like it for Olave. I do like it for Shaheed. He threw that weird cross-field touchdown pass to A.T. Perry a couple of weeks ago. Those are the kind of things we want from Jameis Winston. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw, I think Michael Thomas, did he delete his account or at least make it private?
Did he really?
He was tweeting a lot of things during the game that sort of sounded like shade at Derek Carr and the Saints offense. And I don't know that Can't Guard Mike exists in the Twitter sphere.
I just typed in "can't guard Mike" and it did not come up in my search history.
Yeah, I think he shut it down because he tweeted some things that probably should have been left in the drafts, and Twitter saw them. And next thing you know, Can't Guard Mike no longer exists on the social media platform. All right, moving over to Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin confirms Kenny Pickett underwent ankle surgery on Monday morning. He suffered that injury on Sunday in the loss to the Cardinals. Ian Rappaport says the hope for the team is that they don't have to put Pickett on IR, that he is back for Week 18. In the meantime, it's Mitchell-palooza. Trubisky is back in our lives. So how much do we downgrade guys like Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, I guess even Pat Freiermuth, now that Truth Biscuit is starting?
I don't think you have to downgrade them a whole bunch because we were already downgrading them with Kenny Pickett. Like, this is worse for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but how much worse could it get? Like,
right.
I mean, yeah, they had that one game where they topped 400 yards and scored 16 points. Great. This week they were losing down multiple scores before Kenny Pickett got hurt. But I did go through the game book and pull up how much Mitchell Trubisky targeted everyone. Mm-hmm. Deontay Johnson, 3 targets. Freiermuth, 3 targets. Najee Harris, 3 targets. Allen Robinson, 3 targets. Pickett, 1. Warren, 1. Connor Hayward, 2. Calvin Austin, 1. Basically, he's going to spread the ball out, and it is terrible for everyone.
That is a spray chart like no other. Here's the difference, or I guess lack of difference, is that there really, I don't think, is a huge drop-off from Kenny Pickett to Mitch Trubisky, right? I mean, I think, there was a thought. I mean, Pickett was the incumbent, so he sort of had the job to lose, but I don't think anybody looked at that and just like, oh, yeah, no, he's just head and shoulders better than Mitch Trubisky. So maybe there really isn't much of a drop-off. But as you mentioned, if Trubisky's going to spread the ball around like that, then it's going to be a really tough draw to try to figure anybody out. I think you're still starting Deontay. I think you're still starting Pickens. You're definitely starting Freiermuth because tight ends. But the ceiling's lower now.
Would you start him this week on a short week? They might not even get to practice much with Trubisky. And then this is a game where the Patriots they're playing, the Chargers beat them with 6 points.
Yeah, like the Chargers. Ooh, man. I think I would still start them. I think some of what we saw yesterday was the Chargers' own ineptness on offense. I don't know that it was all the Patriots defense that shut it down. So, I know the Steelers aren't a juggernaut offensively, but I'd like to think they could muster more than 6 points even on a short week. So I still think I roll with them, just understanding the ceiling's lower for all of those guys. One quick note about Derrick Henry. One quick note about Derrick Henry. He left the game in the third quarter against the Colts with what was being called a concussion. However, Mike Vrabel came out on Monday morning and said that Henry is not in the concussion protocol, that he had a workout. He felt fine. They will monitor him through the week. The Titans play on Monday night. By the way, there are 2 Monday night games. We'll get to that a little later in the week. But they play the Dolphins on Monday night. So still some time for Henry to get healthy. We will monitor that, and we'll let you know if there are any updates as we get later on in the week. Talking about the Patriots and the Steelers on Thursday Night Football, and some worrying news for the Patriots. Ramondre Stevenson left the game in the first quarter with an ankle injury. I mentioned my monkey's paws tweets. I was like, hey, let's just run the Wildcat to Ramondre Stevenson, just feed him touches, and then he fumbled and got hurt on the same play. So I guess that was the universe punishing me for asking for Ramondre Stevenson to get the ball. We've been saying it's Stevenson season for a while now. Does this mean it's Zeke season? I was trying to figure out a clever way to work that in, but I couldn't.
I think it is. Like, in this game alone, Zeke played over 70% of the snaps, 17 carries, 5 targets. Like, that sort of volume, I think, keeps him in play. The Steelers haven't been great against the running backs. And, again, I worry about how many – I don't think the Steelers are going to, light up the scoreboard. So, it'll be a game where Zeke could either get carries, and if they're trailing, they'll just dump the ball off to him. Yeah, I think he's in play this week because of volume.
I think volume is sort of the key. And I keep trying to sort of shoehorn him into some lineups. I mean, in some deeper leagues that I'm in, I keep trying to shoehorn him in, and it's never great. And I think I realized that early in the season when they played the Cowboys and they didn't load him up with touches then. Like, in a revenge game situation, you're not going to load up Zeke. That let me know that it's not going to happen for him this year.
I got so lucky in a league this week because of buys. I have Ramondre, and I just needed another flex, so I threw in Zeke, and it kind of worked
sort
out
of worked
because
out.
it's better than just taking the 2 points that Stevenson would have
Right, exactly. So keep an eye on that. We'll find out a little bit more, obviously, as the week goes along. But short week for the Patriots, so it may not be possible for Stevenson to get back on the field. Let's get into some of the big things that we learned from this week. Our takeaways from Week 13, with one more game still to be played. We were worried that what's going to happen with the Dolphins' backfield this week? Oh, is Devon Achane? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, two must-start running backs in this backfield. I know that Mostert got to work early on. Even when the starters were in, though, Achane had more fantasy points because he is so explosive. In the 4 games that they have played together this year, 4 full games, and yeah, they've been a lot of blowouts, and Achane left early, so it's hard to get exactly how they're going to manage this backfield, but Achane has more carries in those games. They split targets down the middle. Achane has 21 or more in all 4 of those games and is averaging 31 fantasy points per game. Mostert, on the other hand, is averaging a modest 19.7 points per game in those 4 games. So yeah, you start both of them. This is the best rushing attack in the league. They lead the league in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. They're up there in receiving stats. You play them both.
Yeah, I think you definitely played both of these guys. And I kind of saw this coming. I said on Friday on Fantasy Live, like, start Achane. Start whatever other running back plays. If it's Achane, start him. If it was Jeff Wilson, start him. And that pretty much worked out the way I thought it was going to go. For me, Deebo Samuel's out here snatching chains again. He spent all offseason and then all week talking trash about the Eagles, saying James Bradbury is trash, and then went out and backed it up. But it's more than just that. It's really over the last few weeks. In fact, since Samuel has come back from injury, he's been incredibly efficient. He's averaging more than 12 yards of yak per touch because they're getting him the ball in space. They're moving him around the formation, just trying to set up mismatches. We saw plenty of that on Sunday against the Eagles. So he's not getting a ton of volume necessarily. I mean, he's only getting, say, 9 or 10 touches a game, if that. But they're using him out of the backfield. They're using him out wide in the slot, wherever they feel like they can get him the best opportunity, and then he's doing a ton with it after the catch. The Niner offense is clicking in a big way right now, and when you've got Ayuk and CMC and George Kittle, it's just one more thing to use. And so where I thought Deebo was a good real-life player and maybe so-so for fantasy, the way the Niners offense is rolling right now, Deebo is crushing in every aspect at this point.
Yeah, like he has gone full game breaker mode right now.
Just completely a game breaker. Meanwhile, the matchup between the Packers and the Chiefs on Sunday night, one of the quarterbacks had a great game. It was not necessarily the one we thought was going to be.
No, Jordan Love has arrived, and Jordan Love is a QB1 for fantasy purposes the rest of the way. In the last month, he's averaging 22 fantasy points per game with over 20 in 3 of them, almost 290 passing yards per game, 10 touchdowns in that span with at least 2 in every game. In that 4-game stretch, he is top 5 in yards, touchdowns, passer rating, EPA. He is off the charts right now, and I'm getting a lot of questions like, can I play Jordan Love over Justin Herbert? Can I play Jordan Love over Patrick Mahomes? It sounds crazy to say, but I don't really think it's all... Maybe Mahomes, but him over Herbert, I would do that this week.
Yeah, it's getting hard to get away from Jordan Love. And I thought this was a week that maybe he would come back to earth. I was worried about him, but he went out and played well against a good defense, so maybe he really is a thing. Last one for me. Like it or not, Najee Harris is Pittsburgh's RB1. He is their lead running back. And every single week, you see the arguments across social media of Jaylen Warren's more talented. Why don't they get more touches for Jaylen Warren? Sure, we can sit here and argue that all day, but at some point we have to accept the fact that this is the role and this is the distribution of labor that these Steelers really choose. And they've changed offensive coordinators and play callers, and it still remains the same. Najee Harris is the guy that's getting the most snaps. He's the guy getting the most opportunities, whether it's carries, whether it's targets. He's the one that they are giving the first crack at. He's the one who's getting the goal line opportunities. And so in a way, it sort of feels like us shouting into the wind with Arthur Smith, too. We might want Bijan Robinson and Drake London and Kyle Pitts to get all these opportunities. It's not happening. Similarly in Pittsburgh, for as much as we want to argue about whether or not Jaylen Warren is more talented, and I'll concede that he might be, it doesn't matter if the Steelers aren't going to use him that way. So I think this is just where we are right now. It's not a terrible thing, The Steelers have a really good fantasy playoff schedule. I think both guys are in the mix, but let's just not all of a sudden expect that one day the Steelers are going to say, hey, you know what, Jaylen Warren? You get 25 touches.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Najee is the safer play for volume each week, I would say, and I think he brings a safer floor. Jaylen Warren is like that lower floor but higher ceiling play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of where we are right now. So, but again, schedule's really good in the fantasy playoffs, so maybe it doesn't matter, and both those guys end up being startable. Speaking of guys being startable, we got our top performers, the guys who really went big this past weekend, and our disappointments, the guys who left us maybe saying naughty words at the television. Stick around for that and more coming up on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. Top performers for Week 13 heading into the Monday night game. Geno Smith going back to Thursday night, 30 points. I left him sitting on a bench in one league. Yay. Because I didn't think he'd do anything against the Cowboys, but he went big. Alvin Kamara, the couple of touchdowns on the ground, also 58 receiving yards, nearly 29 for him. DK Metcalf. I think Florio's mentions are still hearing about that one. 6 for 134 and 3 tutties, 37.4 points. Sam Laporta continuing his excellent rookie season, 9 for 140 and a touchdown. That was good for 29 points. Brandon Aubrey with 4 field goals, 3 extra points. That was 15 points there. And the Charger defense against the inept Patriots offense. 5 sacks, a fumble recovery, and 0 points allowed. That was good for 17. So that gets us into some of our top performers for the week. We talked about Tank Dell and his unfortunate season-ending injury, but Nico Collins had himself a day.
12 targets, 9 catches, a $191 and 1. While I took the L for DK, I was hyping up Nico and Tank and this Texans passing attack. And this is the thing. His high game before CJ Stroud got there was 82. He's 4 games over 100 this year. Almost had 200 yesterday. Gets the Jets next week. Very tough matchup. But how are you going to get away from Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, and them right now? I think you just start them and understand the floor is lower. But hey, the upside is still sky high.
Absolutely sky high for Nico Collins. And you imagine it just continues to stay high now that there's no Tank Dell for the rest of the year. James Conner had himself a revenge game opportunity this past week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I admit that I was not confident, I should say, in James Conner. I was very worried. I had to start him in a few leagues, and boy, did that work out. 105 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. What worried me about Conner was that he hadn't been efficient the last couple of weeks, and on top of it, we were seeing other guys work in. The Cardinals went out and they added Michael Carter. They were giving him touches. Emari DeMercado was back into the mix getting opportunities. Kyler Murray is back, and he was starting to run as well. It just seemed like the pie was being cut too many different ways, and the Steelers had been pretty good against running backs, but James Conner said to hell with all that. I'm going to go out and get my revenge, a couple of touchdowns. And so for those of you that were forced into starting him, congratulations. I will say that I started him, but not because I thought that this was going to happen at all.
Yeah, I had to plug him in a league, and I was hoping for, just like 10 points. And he came through with a whole lot more.
Yeah, absolutely big day for James Conner. The first quarter, people had a lot of negative tweets about Brock Purdy. From quarters 2 through 4, they had to delete those tweets about Brock Purdy.
Oh, yeah. And Brock Purdy was someone that I was talking up any chance I got last week. And just for a while now, I know I was the Brock Purdy doubter from a real life purpose, but for fantasy all year, I've been saying the points count the same. And that's what people were tweeting me saying oh, it's all Debo. Who cares? 29.5 fantasy points. He is the QB2 on the week. He has more fantasy points and points per game than Patrick Mahomes this year. A bunch of big games. I know he had a down game on Thanksgiving because he didn't have to throw a whole bunch. I think Brock Purdy's reached the point, though, where you just start him each and every week because the upside is very, very high.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so high right now. The Niner offense is just crushing. They've had that 3-game losing streak. They got to the bye. Since then, they have been on fire, so it's hard to get away from Purdy. Alvin Kamara. Which, congratulations to Alvin Kamara, because he is now the man with the most rushing touchdowns in the history of the New Orleans Saints franchise. So congrats to Kamara on that. Continues to just do it very, very well. And look, it's funny because we don't get a ton of the big blow-up games from Kamara the way we did earlier in his career, but he continues to be consistent, especially in an offense that really isn't generating a whole lot. Now, curious to see how this sort of works down the stretch if Derek Carr is forced to miss an extended amount of time. And we get to Jameis Winston because, I mean, remember, Jameis is the king of the YOLO ball. He may not be much of a check down guy, so I don't know how many targets Alvin Kamara is going to get. But, I mean, Florio, look, over 100 scrimmage yards, finds the end zone. He's getting targets. He's catching the football. And chances are, if you drafted him, you were able to get him at a severe discount because of that suspension to start the season. He really has become one of the bigger values across fantasy football this year.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of teams where the first couple of weeks it looked rough at the running back spot, but then he's come on and has been a top 5, maybe even better since he's been back.
Yeah, he's been outstanding since he's come back from that suspension. Meanwhile, Sam Laporta's Iowa Hawkeyes did not score a point at all in the Big Ten championship game against Michigan. Sam Laporta by himself had more points than his alma mater did this week.
Sam Laporta this season has more fantasy points than every tight end but TJ Hawkinson and Travis Kelce. That's how good he has been. 140 yards, 9 catches, and a touchdown this week. Second rookie tight end ever with 140 and a touchdown in a game. Travis Kelce is the only other tight end to do that this season. He is tied for the league lead amongst tight ends in touchdowns. I know I've been giving a lot of love to Dalton Kincaid and Trey McBride as of late, but Sam Laporta was my first love this season, and I have a lot of fantasy teams with him, and it has been awesome.
I mean, look, I liked Sam Laporta. I will admit that I had him as a late pick. He's like, oh, yeah, this is a sleeper tight end. I didn't think we'd be talking about him as literally an elite level tight end in year one. My last one here is Mike Evans, and this is a combination apology and appreciation for Mike Evans. I said before the season that his run of 1,000-yard seasons was going to end this year. I mean, how could it not, right? He had Baker Mayfield as the quarterback. They were losing Tom Brady. There was no chance that Mike Evans was going to continue to be a 1,000-yard receiver, and yet here we are. Mike Evans has gone over 1,000 yards yet again every season of his career. Mike Evans has been over 1,000 yards. Call it 10 straight years that he has done this. Continues to be outstanding, top of his game. You've said it before, Florio. He loses Tom Brady, he gets even better because Baker Mayfield's just going to, F it. Mike is down there somewhere, and it has really worked out in a big way. So I apologize for doubting you. And I'm going to remember this. I'm going to store this away in the memory bank. So next year, I'm not going to be the person fading Mike Evans when it comes to fantasy draft.
Same. I made that same mistake as you. One thing that I don't think was a mistake was being high on Austin Ekeler coming into this year. But, man, it has not worked out. 3 straight games in single-digit fantasy points. A season low 4.7 this past week. And I dove into his numbers a bit. This year, just 5% of his runs have gone for 10 or more yards. It was 11% last year. His speed, his average speed, and his top speed are both lower than what it was last year. 24% target rate. It was 32% last year. His yak on a per-catch basis is down. The touchdowns are down. That's not his fault. That's because his offense isn't moving the ball, isn't giving him the opportunities to score, 20 touchdowns a year right now. But with the speed down and everything else down, I have big questions if Austin Ekeler is fully healthy or if this ankle is still completely hampering him in his performance right now. But for fantasy purposes, he has a really good schedule the rest of the way. He gets the Broncos this week, which is the best matchup for a running back, and sees double-digit carries and 6 or more targets pretty much on a weekly basis. I think you're just handcuffed here. I know it stinks what you're getting out of Austin Ekeler, but given the schedule and the volume, I don't see how you sit him either.
That's the thing, is that you're sort of tied to him at this point, right? Because, one, trade deadline has passed in most leagues, so you can't really trade him. You're certainly not going to put him back out on the waiver wire. And as you mentioned, the opportunities that he gets are generally so numerous that you can't really get away from him. Even as poorly as he ran the ball yesterday, he had 14 carries. The target numbers are down a little bit over where they have been in the past. That's a little bit worrisome, but you just sort of have to keep plugging him in, I guess, and hoping that it gets better because chances are you don't have another running back that has the ceiling that Austin Ekeler does. That's the frustrating part. For me, Terry McLaurin, huge disappointment because he had the same number of catches as all of us sitting in this room right now. But it also sort of goes to show that the Washington offense is really hard to figure. Sam Howell is among the league leaders in passing. Did not have a great day on Sunday, but is among the league leaders in passing. but the ball is going so many places, right? I mean, McLaurin gets his most weeks, but there's Jahan Dotson, there's Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas is getting targets. They'll get Brian Robinson in there. By the way, he did leave the game with an injury. We'll keep an eye on that. Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, so many places to go with the football that it really is hard to sort of figure out what's going on. And I think it was Dwayne McFarland over at Fantasy Life who pointed out the fact that, you know, if you would have told somebody that Sam Howell was going to be the league leader in passing and throwing for 300 yards a game, you would love Terry McLaurin, except McLaurin has his lowest yards per game total receiving as he has in his career. So there's just no telling what to do with this offense.
I got a lot of tweets about this because it's no surprise Scary Terry. I'm a big Scary Terry fan and have been advocating a lot for him. But I think we've reached a point where he's just kind of a boomer bust wide receiver 3 and not someone that you need to start each week.
Yeah, that's rough. Let's get to some of your questions real quick. You sent them to us on Twitter, X, at Fantasy, NFL Fantasy, rather. Kuba wants to know, what do we do with Adam Thielen?
You bench him and maybe even drop him. Like, the numbers when Frank Reich isn't calling the plays are vastly different than what they are when he calls the plays.
Plus, you didn't draft him to do all this much for you, so you could probably move on from him. Alejandro wants to know, Cup or Puka? But at this point, I think it's Puka. 6 straight games with less than 50 receiving yards for Cooper Kupp. I don't know if he's fully healthy or what the deal is, but Puka Nacua really has taken over as the wide receiver 1 in Los Angeles. This one for you from Dale. Is DK a must start each week?
I'll say yes to appease you guys, but no. Like, I know he went off this past week. Coming into this game, he was a wide receiver 3 averaging less fantasy points per game than Gabe Davis. Like, yeah, you're going to start DK Metcalf, I get it, but all the people being like, you never sit a wide receiver 1 clearly weren't paying attention to the output that DK had been giving you the first 12 weeks.
The Seahawks passing game hadn't been that great before Thursday night. Last one, Bryce wants to know, who do I start rest of the schedule, full PPR, McBride or Kincaid? These are first world problems here, Bryce. I'm going to say Trey McBride. But this feels like there's no real wrong answer here. But Trey McBride has been lights out in the last month or so. So that's the guy that I would go with. We are not done. We're going to talk some waiver wire. Matt Okada is going to join us to talk about some guys you should be picking up as we get ready for the final week of the fantasy regular season. That's coming up next here on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. It's time for the Waiver Wire, presented by YouTube TV. Matt Okada every week puts together his list of Waiver Wire targets. This is who you should be going after in Week 14. Quarterbacks, got Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco. Welcome back, Joe Flacco, at 38 years old. The Desmond Ridder and Matthew Stafford. Moving on to some running backs, Chuba Hubbard, Tyjae Spears, Ezekiel Elliott going on Thursday night against the Steelers, Antonio Gibson. Commanders on a bye, but worth stashing there. Keaton Mitchell as the Ravens come back off their bye. Roshan Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, because you should be handcuffing your elite players at this point in the season. And Michael Carter, again, the Cardinals also on a bye this week. Some pass catchers at wide receiver, Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore, Greg Dortch, Noah Brown, and John Mechie with Tank Dell out for the season. Jonathan Mingo, who's put together a couple of decent games the last couple of weeks. Isaiah Likely, Gerald Everett, and Kate Otten as we talk about the tight ends. Time now to bring in the one and only Matt Okada, who writes the Waiver Wire column. You can find it at NFL.com/waiverwire. 2 teams on a bye, which is not optimal considering it's the last week of the fantasy regular season. But I guess if there's a silver lining, it's Arizona and Washington. So maybe a couple of guys of note missing, but not an overwhelming number, Matt. So, but let's start at quarterback because Joe Flacco, 38 years old. I won't say he comes directly off the couch and throws the ball well, but look, he hasn't been playing for a while and actually looked decent this past week for the Browns.
Yeah, I don't know where he's been throwing. Maybe it wasn't the couch. Maybe it was his backyard. It wasn't on an NFL field. But you wouldn't know it the way he came out and slung it this past week. And the same thing happened last year with the Jets. And this year we said, well, no, he can't do it again. He's another year older. He's been out of the league for even longer. And this team's not good. He threw for 254 yards, a pair of touchdown passes, 16 fantasy points with a pick. And he just looked good. Like maybe the best we've seen from a Browns quarterback all year or in recent years. So I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not opposed to looking at Joe Flacco if you were relying on Kyler or Sam Howell, who are two of those somewhat usable guys that are out this week. Next week, he gets the Jaguars. They've actually been pretty soft to fantasy quarterbacks over the last 5 weeks, and they have allowed several big performances and a few surprising streams throughout this season. It would help a lot if Amari Cooper is active. He should be in the concussion protocol after last Sunday. So keep an eye on that because that will be his number one weapon, obviously. But there's a lot of holes at QB these days and a lot of streamers who could project in this range. I think Flacco is one of them and probably the most easily acquired.
And Okada, you do this every week, and for weeks now you have been telling people to pick up Chuba Hubbard. It feels like more than half the year you've been saying this. This feels like people's last chance to do so.
Yeah, it is almost certainly the last chance because he's pretty heavily rostered finally, and he just had another big game. So I think this is your last shot to pick him up. And 40% of NFL.com players started him last week. So congratulations to all of you who got his 22.4 fantasy points against the Bucks. To the rest of you, go and pick him up. That marks 2 straight games for Hubbard with 20-plus fantasy points. And this past Sunday was his best on the ground by far, 25 carries for 104 yards in what was this first game of the post-Frank Reich era. So I'm optimistic we could see more of that moving forward. Miles Sanders once again looked incredibly inefficient and should honestly not be seeing anything more than a couple change of pace touches moving forward, in my opinion. And this is important to note. The Panthers were able to stay in that game. I think that's why we saw so much from Hubbard. I think they can do that again next week against the Saints and the week after that against the Falcons, both divisional games against opponents that are kind of middle of the road. And the Saints' run D is not what it was for many years, that vaunted D that you could not start anyone against. So I'm willing to roll Hubbard out there this week and I think rest of season.
Speaking of running backs that play in a Southern division, Tyjae Spears is a guy who's had a decent role all year long. Now, look, we thought maybe Derrick Henry is going to be in concussion protocol. Then Mike Vrabel said he's not. But it does feel like people should still be adding Spears just because he seems to be carving out a decent role in Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B there. One, we don't know exactly what's going on with Henry. We're going to have to keep our ear to the beat reporters in Tennessee to see what happens with him and whether he's limited in any way. But like you said, Spears has looked decent in various opportunities that he's gotten. And if this particular injury pans out poorly for Henry, or if anything else happens over the next couple of weeks, which we've seen happen recently with other big running backs, Spears would be an absolute locked and loaded starter. He was unsurprisingly excellent in relief on Sunday, took 22 opportunities for 88 yards. That's the kind of thing we've seen from him when he's gotten chances. They're also, the rest of the season schedule for them, Miami, Houston, Seattle, and Houston. I think those were already looking intriguing for Spears because they're likely to be high-scoring affairs where the Titans are heavy underdogs and they have to look to the pass game more often, where Spears has been more used. So again, if Henry misses any time or is limited in any way, Spears becomes a locked and loaded starter. If not, he's a potential pinch hit flex, and you want him on your bench anyways, just in case.
Look at him getting the pinch hit references in there with the Angels memorabilia behind him.
Yeah.
Speaking of backs who are gonna kind of be in fill-in duty right now, Zeke Elliott. It looks like Ramondre Stevenson. Time is against him this week with them playing on Thursday night. What do you think of Zeke if he gets to start?
Yeah, unlike with Henry, this looks to me like we're not going to see Ramondre certainly this week, maybe again this season. It depends, of course, on the nature of the sprain he's got. It's also worth noting the Patriots don't have anything at all to compete for except the number 1 pick right now, so it doesn't really make sense to rush Stevenson back in any way. So Zeke is maybe the hottest commodity at the position this week. He's looked surprisingly good given his age and recent inefficiencies with the Cowboys and how bad this offense is. But I think he's going to be the undisputed lead and likely bell cow back for this team down the stretch. And he put up 92 scrimmage yards, once again in that kind of relief position for when Stevenson went out last week. That included 40 yards through the air on 4 catches, which is big, and it is a lot of how Ramondre Stevenson has been fantasy relevant in this terrible offense. You have to be able to do that because they're not going to put up a lot of points. They're not going to be able to run on teams much. But if you can catch the ball, you can put up fantasy points. So I think we see that from Zeke. I think he has low to mid RB3 floor because of the volume, with an RB2 ceiling when Stevenson's out.
When we talk about great fantasy QB duos this year, I mean, we got to talk about Dak and CD, Jalen and A.J. Brown, Tua and Tyreek. And we got to talk about Joe Flacco and Elijah Moore, because apparently that's a thing now that they're together in Cleveland.
It is, and it's been a thing before, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised about this. But yeah, Amari Cooper left Sunday's game in the concussion protocol, and now Elijah Moore's old flame, Joe Flacco, is back in at quarterback for the Browns. As a result of that combination of circumstances, most likely, Moore had 12 targets for 83 yards, both season highs. It was his third game with 12-plus fantasy points in the last 4 weeks, so he's kind of been creeping in on waiver interest regardless. But now, listen, he's flashed talent all year. He's flashed talent throughout his whole career, but for some reason, he just doesn't seem to get used the way that we all think he should. The one guy who seems willing to do that is Joe Flacco. He's in at quarterback. Whether or not Cooper suits up this next week against the Jaguars, I think you're rolling Moore out there as a fringe starter in PPR. And if Cooper does miss time, I think Moore becomes a fringe must start with legitimate 8-10 catch upside. And it's worth noting that he had those 12 fantasy points and those 83 yards on just 4 catches on Sunday because of a really low catch rate. I think if Flacco gets another week to work in and the two of them get another week to work together, we could see that come up, which means his fantasy points come up.
Moving to tight ends, we've only seen one game of Isaiah Likely without Mark Andrews. It was more of a floor game, but there's probably a lot more upside. I at least think there is. How do you feel about Isaiah Likely, Okada?
Yeah, I like him a lot. And I think to your point, we saw 6 targets and 8 fantasy points in that game, the first game without Andrews. And those did feel like floors, and those are great floors for a tight end. We say this often in the waiver segment. I say it often in the waiver column. If you're going to get 6 catches, 5 catches, and put up 8 to 10 fantasy points as a floor, that is going to be solid enough as a streamer tight end. And we absolutely have seen Likely put up higher ceilings himself, and Andrews, of course, put up higher ceilings, which means the opportunity is there for Likely to do the same. Baltimore was on bye week last week, so he may be heavily available. Go take a look. They get the Rams defense next week, who's been soft against tight ends all year. I think Likely is as good a bet as nearly anyone for 5 catches and 50 yards in the position, and if he throws in a touchdown, you have a great start.
One last one. We don't talk a lot about defenses. We talk about the waiver wire here, but the Colts, you look at the next 4 games for them, and it lines up pretty well. If you're talking about streaming defenses or playing matchups, the Colts have about as good a schedule as you could imagine right now.
Yeah, I begged our producer to let me throw this defense in here, which we don't do that often, because of how crazy this is. This is what I wrote in the column this week. If you have the Cowboys, the Ravens, or maybe the Steelers, you can move on and ignore what I'm saying. If you do not have one of those 3 defenses, drop whoever you have and pick up the Colts. They have scored double-digit fantasy points in 4 straight games, totaled 69 fantasy points over that span, 4+ sacks in each, 9 takeaways, 3 touchdowns in total in those games. And here is that rest of season schedule you mentioned, Marcus. The Jake Browning Bengals, the Kenny Pickett / Mitch Trubisky Steelers, we don't even know, but it doesn't matter, the Desmond Ridder Falcons, and the Aiden O'Connell Raiders. I would not be surprised if they're the number 1 DST rest of season.
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to find great matchups, and this one just 4 excellent matchups handed to you on a silver platter. If you want more on a silver platter, go to NFL.com/waiverwire. Get Matt's waiver wire picks for the week. Also, go check him out on Twitter at Matt Okada. Matt, as always, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon. There goes Matt Okada. Be sure to check him out, and be sure to hang around. Check us out too, because we'll be back with you later on in the week after what has been a very busy Monday. Keeping our fingers crossed about any injury news. Hopefully, we get some of these guys back, because final week of the fantasy regular season is now upon us. In the meantime, That is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. You know the drill. Tell two friends to tell two friends. Rate, review, and remember, be like a postage stamp. Stick to the thing until you get there. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the week, everybody. And we'll talk to you again real soon.